Dr. Daniel, and today I'm talking about the worst migraine. Well, in medical school, I was taught that migraine, childbirth, and a kidney stone are the most painful medical conditions known to man, and there are certain conditions that make for the worst migraine. So, the worst migraine, what is that? It's the one you didn't expect, the one that got away from you and became one of those, the one that came at the exact worst time in your life when you didn't need to have a migraine, the one that came after you ran out of your medication. You should have felt it. The one that woke you up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you should have treated and had your medicine at bedside and a glass of water, but you didn't treat it. Or the one that came just on the first day of that holiday to Italy you've been planning so long, and now you're in misery in your hotel throwing up with your let-down migraine headache. It seems migraine comes out of the blue, but you can really study it and find that it's really triggers is what they're called. So migraine will sometimes come for known reasons, and those are called migraine triggers. The biggest and the most frequent of all triggers is stress or freedom from stress. 40% of migraine patients have either generalized anxiety disorder or panic disorder, and they're comorbid conditions, which means medically that migraine and anxiety and migraine panic conditions are related and come together. Migraines occur premenstrually, 1 or 2 days. For women, menstrual headaches, defined as migraine-like headaches occurring the day of menstruation onset or 2 days before, 2 days after, is their most intense and longest-lasting migraine. 25% of women have migraine, which is their most common medical problem. And the other thing that can set it off is menstruation with fluctuating estrogen levels. So, elevated estrogen level from a birth control pill, or treatment of postmenopausal women with HRT treatment, migraine headaches may be driven by estrogen if it's at a higher than normal level, or it's pulsed, like with the normal monthly menstrual cycle. Well, what's another intractable migraine starter? Just about any kind of alcohol that sets you off for your hangover migraine. Most commonly, that's red wine, but there are other alcohols that will do it. Hypoglycemia from fasting. Now, normal non-migraine persons may get a hungry headache, which I tell patients may be treated by feeding it, but migraineurs are especially prone to migraine onset with fasting or missed meals. Persons with migraine need to eat 3 regular meals a day. Barometric pressure change. People call this weather headache, and that has a big connection with causing onset of migraine headaches. This is very common, and most all migraine patients have this relationship. I personally do not think that the site in the brain that causes this barometric pressure change is known. Some people say it's in the baroreceptors and carotid arteries, but anyway, the headaches still come with pressure drop. And I advise patients who have this type of headache to look at the weather reports on their cell phone, because barometric pressure is on there and they can follow it. In Dallas lately it's like 29.8, and so if it dropped it would be like 29.7 and that kind of thing. They can follow barometric pressure and plot this daily if they have a strong reaction to migraine onset and pressure drop, and that's a day to really watch out for the onset of migraine, have medication ready, and treat early. Motion sickness. This is an associated migraine inherited condition. Something like 40% of patients with migraine have motion sickness. I used to joke with headache patients that God in heaven marked their foreheads with a big M, meaning migraine and motion sickness. Not a joke. Migraine's not a joke. It was just trying to be humorous in the office. Motion sickness and decompression illness. Mountain sickness can set off headaches. Insomnia relates to anxiety conditions and depression, which are treatable medical problems. See your doctor for this and get treatment. Oversleeping or napping. Sleep and migraine just relate to each other. Migraine patients may have a late morning attack following oversleeping or a long nap, so don't do that. You could have a nocturnal or end of dream headache. You could have nighttime migraines, especially late morning, like 4 in the morning. That's classical. And some patients will remember a significant dream which ended with the start of a migraine. Dreaming is associated with cerebral vasoconstriction, which is reverse to vasodilatation on awakening. Migraine relates to trigeminal activation and cerebral arterial vasodilatation. Fragrances, wow, what a deal. Fragrance sensitivity is prominent in migraine. In my office, my nurse put out a sign warning visitors to not wear prominent perfume, which might likely aggravate someone else with migraine visiting the office. So we tried to keep a fragrance-free environment. Flashing, flickering, fluorescent light. Many persons with migraine with aura may have an aura, and part of their migraine was set off by flashing lights or from computer and TV screens. Glancing sunlight off a hood medallion or of a car, a flickering light of the sun is viewed while traveling in a car, and looking at the sun through trees are both common triggers for migraine. Migraine patients should not look at bright flashing light and wear always good glasses, dark glasses when outside. Dietary factors are still a relatively unresearched subject, and what's going on there is not clear, but it's very popular in the internet. It's like the saying that you hear, it's got to be true because I read it in the newspaper, and that may not all be true about diet, food, and migraine. Specific dietary factors may trigger migraine in some persons, however. Heat and sun or work headaches are problems. Intercourse or orgasmic headaches. Some patients with intense migraine start at orgasm worry about thunderclap headache, which requires an ER visit and screening CT or MRI scan of the brain. If the tests are negative, the patient has benign type of orgasmic headache. Overuse of analgesics, and caffeine is the most common one here. And next, it's other over-the-counter drugs like Excedrin, Tylenol, Advil, naproxen, all the triptans. The worst drugs classed here are hydrocodone and butalbital, the worst drug, which should never be taken anyway, as far as I'm concerned. Head injury, concussion, post-concussion syndrome. I've seen many persons with prolonged 6 months of daily headache with migraine features from taking hydrocodone or tramadol or something like that after a concussion. They went to the ER, got a prescription. The doctor said to take it and even wrote a prescription, but he never said stop or limit the drug. Fever. The red victim's face represents facial vasodilatation. Migraines causes cerebral arteries to vasodilate. Caffeine withdrawal. Well, caffeine taken too much can cause medication-overuse headache and chronic migraine. The Mayo Clinic says that normal non-migraine persons may take as much as 400 milligrams of caffeine a day without problems, but migraineurs can't do that. And I advise most persons with migraine to be off caffeine. Or if they're going to take it, limit to only 2 days a week. Brain freeze, ice cream headache. This is thought by some to be a feature of migraine, but some others think it's just a universal feature of all persons with migraine. I'm not sure. I do warn people about it, especially when it gets on the roof of your mouth, something cold. It's a dagger in your brain. Toothache, grinding with TMJ syndrome, which relates to anxiety, can be treated with dental consultation and a bite guard. Prolonged overexertion can set off a migraine. The Mayo Clinic talks about that, saying the reason for exertion to relate to migraine attacks is somewhat uncertain, but it may relate to cerebral vasoconstriction, which changes to vasodilatation with cessation of exercise. So these are my thoughts on the worst migraine. I hope it's helpful to all you folks with migraine. God bless you all. Please click on subscribe and like down there, and I'll see you again on the next talk.